This is a Geenie Surge Plus Charge, smart surge protector plus switched outlets with Wi-Fi. It has 2 USB ports. Specific model number here is the GN-SW023. And it has an electrical problem. If you plug this into a GFCI protected circuit, it will trip the GFCI. It will trip every GFCI. It's not a little leakage current. It is a complete ground to neutral bonding. So we can test this at the plug here. There's basically a 0 ohm between those guys. You can test it at the receptacles here. So, you cannot use this on a GFCI protected circuit, and most of your circuits probably should be GFCI protected. So the question remains, can we fix the problem? Now, a simple circuit tester like this cannot detect a neutral ground bonding, so it is relatively safe to use, but you're really not supposed to bond neutral and ground anywhere except the main service panel. First challenge is triangular safety screws, so we will see if any of the 3-sided bits in here will work with that. Alright, so opening this guy up, we see that the ground line is completely isolated from the neutral line, except for this little guy. There's this black wire that's neutral there, and it looks like it got pinched when they assembled this guy. So yeah, that pinched wire there was hooking into that thing there. So I'm happy to report that this surge protector slash smart switch is not intentionally grounding the neutral bar. It was just probably an assembly error. The end of that little bus bar actually has solder already on it, like they've prepared it for this wire to be soldered to it. But they soldered it way down here instead. So we're going to cut the wire and then solder it right there so it won't get in the way of any of these plugs. Alright, so now we have the neutral power line, so our USB outlets will still work. The other option is you could just cut that entirely and your USB outlets would stop working. It's connected to this neutral bus bar here, so all of that's neutral, so it doesn't matter if there's not a little bit of insulation right there. So now it should be good to put this thing back together. Alright, plugged in the GFCI, did not trigger GFCI, plugged my outlet tester in all 4 outlets. All the outlets are wired correctly. We are getting power to the USB outlets. So, now it's as good as it was supposed to be from the factory. I actually bought 2 of these guys. Now I really think I need to open this one up and check and see how it's wired to see if that was just a one-off occurrence or if like a whole batch of them was miswired in the same way. Well, look at that. That one was wired correctly. So it looks like somebody cheaped out or didn't know what they were doing at the factory. It doesn't look like every single one in the batch had the same problem, so it was probably just one new guy that didn't know what he was supposed to be doing. I wonder how long that happened and how many of these guys had that problem. Now there is a difference between these. So this guy has a clear switch, and the other one that was wired correctly has a black switch with a label on it. So it might be 2 different runs, 2 different lines, or maybe they just have different types of switches. But that is something to look for if you ever have to take one of these apart. Incidentally, if you're wondering, this little blue thing here is the surge suppression. It's basically a metal oxide variable resistor. If the voltage goes above 800 volts, it'll start conducting between the line and neutral and basically clamp the voltage so it doesn't get too high. It's not like a super big one, it's not super powerful protection, but it's better than nothing. So I guess moral of the story is if you're a company manufacturing devices, as part of the QC process you should specify that they're plugged into a GFCI protected outlet. And that way any neutral to ground bonding or other problems that would cause a GFCI to nuisance trip might be detected at the factory before it ships.